Yo, what's up everybody? So welcome to the top 10 greatest weapons of all time for Fallout 4. So without further ado, let's get this started. Alright, first up on the list, I got the unique 10mm pistol, the Deliverer. You get this in the quest Tradecraft. I think that's what it's called, but it's the very first quest you get when you join the railroad. So it's got a built-in suppressor, improved chance to hit in VATS, and a 25% action point reduction cost. So with all the advanced modifications, the right perks, this thing turns into a real hand cannon. I got 5 points invested in Gunslinger, better criticals, Mr. Sandman, what else? Ninja, pretty much everything. Look how quickly we took out the behemoth. And we're also playing in survival. I got some pretty cool kills in the combat zone with VATS. We got Agent 47 testing out the weapon. Look at that guy fly. Also, the ammo type is 10mm, and that's really easy to find. This is probably the best 10mm you'll find, and this is the perfect weapon for your sneak attack build characters. And you can get it pretty early on, I think. So yeah, very good weapon. Fucking beautiful. Command number 9, I got the very popular Alien Blaster. Now you get this from a random event or occurrence. I think it depends on your level, but I'm not really sure. Your follower is going to comment on when you see the crash land from the sky. Then when you arrive in the alien crash site, you just follow the green blood, and it's going to lead you to this cave right here. And where you're going to find the alien, blow his head off, and he's going to have the alien blaster. He's with over 400 alien cells. You won't be able to find any more alien cells out in the wasteland. You can modify the weapon. You could put a scope. I actually prefer the iron sights. You could even put this fusion mag, which will have the weapon consume fusion cells if you want to preserve the very rare alien cells. It does reduce the damage, but not by a whole lot. The weapon does look pretty cool. However, I think the weapon's incredibly nerfed and not as good as it was in the previous Fallout games. I don't know, I had a lot of trouble killing some of the enemies, like in the glowing sea, especially death claws, even rad scorpions, and even some strong ghouls. Like, it took a lot of ammo to take some of these creatures out. It didn't matter if I was using the alien cells or the fusion cells. It's not the most powerful weapon, but it's really cool that it did make a return, and you kind of could use this as one of your primary weapons now that you can use fusion cells. This was one of those types of weapons that I would really never use because of the really rare alien cells. I would kind of just use it as like a collectible, something I would display in my player home with all the other unique weapons. Maybe we'll see some future DLC with more powerful alien weapons, or even definitely we're gonna see some mods, but we have to wait for that. Alright, in the number 8 spot, I got the big boy, the legendary Fat Man. You could purchase this in Diamond City. Just talk to Arturo. I had to pay over 10,000 caps for this, but I think it was well worth it. It is the unique Fat Man that could fire not one but 2 mini nukes. And not only that, it only costs 1 mini nuke to fire the 2 mini nukes. So you're getting 2 for the price of 1. There's not much to say about this weapon. It is a Fat Man. It'll pretty much overkill anything. You really can't use this weapon as any conventional use. You probably want to save this weapon for one of those really big monsters like the Mylar Queen or those epic behemoths. But it is a very fun weapon to use. And just dropping mini nukes, I don't know, it's really cool. And there is one modification for this, but I probably would not recommend it, but we're gonna take a look at it anyway. So if you guys remember, in Fallout 3 there was this mini nuke that shot 8 mini nukes at once, the experimental Merv. Well, that's the only modification for this weapon. It is experimental because it's very inaccurate and you're probably gonna kill yourself. Command number 7, I got the rail rifle. So you could get this weapon by completing the railroad quest, or you could sight against them. I think you'll get the weapon either way, but if you want the weapon right away, you can find it here in Big John Salvage. You do need to hit the circuit breaker and you'll be able to get into that door that was previously locked. So once you make your way inside, you're gonna find the rail rifle along with some other interesting stuff. So I really like what they did with the rail rifle in Fallout 4. I wasn't a huge fan of it in Fallout 3, but I really love the design. Yeah, sure, some of the textures could be overhauled, but that's with a lot of the textures in Fallout 4. Just like any other weapon, you could use modifications like a bayonet if you're close quarters and you want to stab people. I'm using a reflex sight for better accuracy, but you could also use a scope for long distance or treat it as a sniper rifle. The weapon is very powerful, however I am playing on survival, so some of these enemies are kind of like bullet sponges. I really love how you can see the railway spikes get stuck on the enemy's limbs, and a lot of times when you do blow their head off, you could pin their head to the wall, and it looks pretty funny. So overall, very awesome weapon. You get some really epic kills with this. Look at his head go flying. At the number 6 spot, I got the broadside, a unique heavy weapon that fires cannonballs. To get this weapon, you need to complete the USS Constitution. If you guys remember that big airship in the sky, let me show you where we are in the map. It's a pretty lengthy quest. It'll help a lot if you do have a high intelligence. Just don't side with the peasant scavengers, because yeah, I don't think you'll be able to get the weapon. But when you approach the end, you're going to get the weapon off of Ironsides, the sentry bot right here. It is a very powerful weapon. I am playing on survival and it makes short work on a lot of these enemies. One downside with this weapon, it only fires 1 shot before reloading. However, you can modify it to fire 3 shots per reload. But the major downside with this weapon is the cannonballs. They're very rare. Some vendors do carry them. They're very expensive. You can find some in the Minuteman Castle Armory, and I think some in that island where you fight all those super mutants. You want to get the Fat Mans for the Brotherhood, but that's pretty much it. Some other modifications improve hipfire accuracy, and it's still a really good weapon, but not really meant for conventional use since the ammo's so rare. At the number 5 spot, I got the unique Gauss rifle the last minute. To purchase this weapon, you need to progress through the Minuteman quest line. You need to retake the castle. Then after that, you gotta open up the armory, and once that's done, you'll be able to talk to Ronnie Shaw during business hours. She has like a little store where she'll barter with you. She has a ton of weapons and ammo. Just scroll all the way to the bottom and you're gonna find the unique Gauss rifle the last minute. My charisma's so low, it cost me almost 9,000 caps, but I think it's worth it. It does 50% limb damage. It's very powerful, even for taking out big creatures like the Mirror Queen and Behemoth. And this is on survival. Then we got some of the death claws in the glowing sea. I don't know why a lot of these death claws are like all lying on the floor like they're sleeping or something. So this weapon's very powerful. I usually like one-shot a lot of these creatures right here. Oh shit, is that the legendary chameleon deathclaw? I like all the different types of deathclaws they have in this game. So there's some other Gauss rifles that are probably a lot better, but they're legendaries, and you really can't get those by ordinary means. It's kind of like this whole RNG system. So I thought I'd exclude those weapons. I do have a video on how you could easily get the legendary weapon you want. I'll probably leave that in the description. So if you remember Harkness from Fallout 3, he had a very special plasma weapon. Well, I think this is it, or it's an experimental version of it. So if you manage to make your way into the Institute, you'll be able to barter it off this guy. And it cost me over 6,000 caps. But the weapon's very good. It's got a 25% faster fire rate and a 15% faster reload speed. And I think this is probably the best plasma weapon in the entire game. The thing's a fucking beast. I don't know, man. I think this weapon is pretty OP. I was killing these guys with ease on survival. I was getting some really epic kill moves. Well, nah, that guy just falls to the floor, but no, just wait. Now we're gonna get some really cool kill moves, like a bunch of decapitations, brutal shit. Look at that. So just like the Sentinel Plasma Caster, you could turn this into a flamethrower, sniper rifle, or I really love the shotgun with the beam splitter. Look at that. That shit's crazy. Turn this guy into goo. At the number 3 spot, I got probably the coolest looking weapon in the entire game. This is the Final Judgment. You could only get this weapon if you side with the Institute or the Railroad, because Elder Maxon's the one that's carrying the weapon. And as far as I know, you cannot pickpocket the weapon off of him, even though if you have all the perk points invested into the pickpocket tree. So its special attribute is the 25% faster fire rate and 15% reload speed, just like the experimental 18-A. What this really is a souped up Gatling laser gun. The only downside with this weapon is that it eats up your fusion cores. That's what it uses for ammo, and fusion cores are what power up your power armor. So if you're using both power armor in this weapon, like for example you're farming the glowing sea, you could eat up a lot of fusion cores, and those are very expensive. But other than that, this is a pretty badass weapon. The weapon does take out a lot of these legendary creatures with ease. I think the gun's fairly balanced due to the ammo it takes, and it doesn't even unload the full clip. Here you can see how it does against the Mylar Queen. Just gotta be careful she doesn't shoot her shit at you. And she's dead. At number 2, I got probably the best melee weapon in the entire game. Well, it's really an unarmed weapon, I guess. This is a Furious Power Fist. It packs quite a punch. For my next playthrough, I'm probably going to invest some points in unarmed damage and try to get this weapon as soon as possible. As you can see, it is very powerful. Even if you don't have any points in unarmed damage, it's still really good. As you can see me take out these legendary raiders. It's a lot of fun to use.
So violent.
Now that shit was funny with Curry. Now I'm not really big on VATS, but I think a lot of these melee weapons are best used with VATS. You get some really awesome kill moves. Look at that guy fly. Shit's awesome. And finally, number 1, I got the Cryolator, the best weapon in the entire game. What's really funny is you could get this you could get this very early on in the game. Just bring Dogmeat back to Vault 111 and ask him to search for a weapon, and he's gonna grab that Cryolator right through the master level lock. Typical Dogmeat. Just like in Fallout 3, he was able to grab unattainable weapons like the Beta Tesla cannon. So this weapon is the best weapon in the entire game. Just look how fast I take out this legendary Deathclaw. It was a chameleon on Survivor, and it'll pretty much freeze anything that stands in your way, and they won't be able to do shit. The only downside with this weapon is the really rare ammo type, just like a lot of the other weapons in this countdown. However, I do have a mod, craftable ammunitions, which let me craft my own cryo cells, so that was a big help. So that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'd like to hear your feedback and maybe what are your favorite weapons in Fallout 4. And I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.